And with that being said, we'll go ahead and go into the Cavs' success recently, and I'll hand it over to you, CJ.
The Cavs are on pace to get 73-9. There's a lot of questioning about what they're gonna do in the playoffs because obviously there's are teams that they did beat that they might face in the playoffs. They beat the Celtics and they beat the Thunder. But I want to actually give out some more context when they beat the Thunder. The Thunder, they're missing Chet and Alex Caruso, and that game was really close. And when they beat the Celtics, I don't think anybody was missing. So, Nathan, I'm gonna actually hand this over to you while I do a little bit more research.
So the Cavs, it kind of enters the whole contenders versus pretenders argument because we've seen many teams that have had like several success and then it ends up being nothing in the playoffs because they end up having to face teams that are not injured or at their full extent in the playoffs or teams that are just a different animal in the playoffs. There were obviously a few years where everybody thought that the Celtics were going to win and then they had to deal with playoff Jimmy Butler. So the playoffs are always a different breed. However, I personally hope that the Cavaliers go far in this playoffs because I've been hyping them up for a few years, and people have always thought that I was insane. Because again, they lost the play in to the Nets a while back, and then everybody was saying to trade either Donovan Mitchell or trade Darius Garland. And I told everybody, I was like, we need to give this team one more chance and see how far they go. And now they're on pace to break the 73-9 record. I don't know if they'll exactly get there. I don't know if they're that good this year. I mean, again, they're crazy this year, but I don't know if they're 73-9 Warriors level. But again, I've always been behind this team, and people, make try and call me out on that and be like, throw the bandwagon allegations on there. But I encourage you go back through my channel. Like I have videos from like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, saying like, give this team a few years and they're gonna be a deep playoff contender. And now we're here 3 years later, like I said, and they look like they're gonna be deep playoff contenders. So
Yeah, I actually have to agree with Nathan. Nathan was one of those guys who was like, yeah, the Cavs were going to be a team to look out for. Versus me, where I was like, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley, and,
Jared Allen.
Allen and them was just never going to work. I literally was saying that. I was like, yo, last year when they lost to the Celtics, I was like Donovan Mitchell should probably go to a better team that actually fits him. So, Nathan, I actually got to give you props there. You gotta give props when guys get stuff right. But I actually want to say Jaylen Brown was missing from the last Celtics versus Cavs game. But also with that too. But I just want to say with the Cavs, yeah, we did see teams that they look amazing during the regular season. But I mean, it's just circumstance. That's the main thing I have to say about the Cavs. Every game they played, it always came circumstantial. Like it works out in their favor, and every games do count. So yeah, I don't really see them winning the chip this year. Nathan, do you think they're winning a chip?
I see them making a conference finals. I don't know about a chip because it's sort of weird where the the conferences have been swinging a lot lately. There was a lot of years, especially back with like the Spurs and LeBron years with the Heat and everything, where the West were like the monster and things like that. And like it was like you're chilling in the East and then you are getting destroyed in the West. And then for a couple years whenever the Bucks were doing well, it swung the other way where it's like now if you're in the East, you got to fucking watch out for the Bucks, you got to watch out for the Celtics. And now it seems like every year it's kind of flip-flopping. So, I feel like the Cavs can maybe go to a conference finals. If they do go to a conference finals, they'll likely be up against the Celtics again. What I would really like to see personally would be a Thunder versus Nuggets conference finals, and then a Cavs Celtics conference finals, and then we get Thunder versus Cavs like we did in the finals, because the Thunder Cavs game was one of the most viewed games this year. And also, I've constantly been talking about how I want to see some more of these young teams that go out and actually like play with heart and everything like that. And that's why I'm getting even more into college basketball now, because it's not ruined with all of the popularity and everything of like the NBA. It's hard to explain, but it's like the we talked a bit about it in like a previous episode where like in the NBA everybody has to like look out for their personal brand and their agents and things like that, versus college basketball I feel like is more raw. In a sense it's hard to explain, especially with us trying to stay within the time limit. But I that's why I like seeing younger players, and why I always talk about like, oh, the new generation and reigning in the new generation. So I think a Thunder's Cavs would really be refreshing for the league, to be honest. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's personally what I would like to see, even as a Spurs fan. Thunder's Cavs.
Yeah. This is actually we're about to be over the time limit, but this is gonna be my last thing I want to say about that. The Cavs are 0-8 versus top three seeded teams in the East. So that's something that's concerning. Actually, I don't know if that stat is true if they beat the Celtics. So I think that stat is kind of outdated. But yeah, that's something that you actually have to worry about, because stats don't lie, especially when it comes to certain things like that. So we're actually gonna get into our second one.